so several years ago, there was a pretty big effort in the kind of, integrity food movement to establish what's called country of origin labeling. It goes by the acronym COOL, COOL, country of origin labeling. And it was to try to get a handle on where meat came from, in the grocery store. It was a consumer advocacy thing. And as you and I have seen you and I could, the average person could not invent more whatever silliness, within the labeling community. And so what they did in the cool law was that they didn't actually require that they just said that it had to be in the US on its final labeling, its final wrap. So what people don't realize is nobody sends T-bone steaks to the US. Nobody sends whatever, pork chops. Nobody sends, well, that's pork, that's not beef, but anyway, nobody sends ribeye steaks to the US. What they send are what are called primals. So you have this carcass hanging here, and you can cut it in quarters, and then you kind of cut it in eighths. You cut those quarters again, and you essentially have 8 great big pieces. They're called primals. And that's what they send to the US. Nobody's sending little packages of retail cuts. They send these big primals. So they send those to the US. Then here they're of course unboxed, and then they cut them. They fabricate them into ribeyes and T-bones and short ribs and whatever else. And so what the loophole, or the thing that this labeling law allowed, was that as long as that final wrap, that final fabrication and wrap was done in the US, the product could be labeled product of the US, which is of course completely misleading. It could come from Uruguay, Paraguay, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, the actual product, but be finally fabricated and wrapped here, and then it was labeled as here. So this is an effort to correct that. I just you and I have lost faith in the US to be able to do anything that's actually honest. But anyway, but that's the origins of this effort. That's why this has happened. So right now in the store, you can go and buy beef that's labeled product of the USA, and it may very well have come from Australia or Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, any place else, and just been finally packaged here in the US. How does that make you feel as a buyer?
Well, fortunately, as a buyer, it doesn't threaten me because I buy from my local farmer. But if I was buying from the grocery store still, this would be very alarming to me. And if I hadn't already lost faith in the labeling system, like if this is the first labeling debacle I had heard about, it would jolt me enough that I would start looking into, wait a minute, what else is on these labels that I really don't understand, right? Because as you and I know, these labels sometimes seem straightforward, but they never are, right? They almost never are. We'll put a little caveat in there. They almost never are straightforward.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I just couldn't believe this.
And you would, and you would, I think, you say you feel shocked. I'd like to push you a little bit and say, I feel betrayed. I mean, the average person would feel not just shocked, but betrayed. You feel betrayed by
Deceived.
The people who are supposed to be, supposedly looking out for your interest. And so what you feel is betrayed.